So we'll go ahead and get started with our regular business meeting. Call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Here.
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 Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have the minutes from the regular meeting October 23rd and special meeting October 23rd.
I move for approval of the regular meeting minutes from October 23rd and also the special meeting that was held on October 23rd.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right. Thank you for everybody that is in attendance, all those that are watching on the YouTube channel at home. Appreciate being with us this evening. We do not have anybody that is signed up for public comments, so we will move right down to the agenda, and if there are no corrections, look for a motion for adoption.
Also move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second then to adopt the agenda for this evening. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not? Same sign? No. All right. And moving right along, takes us down to 8.1. This month, School of the Month is Wilson. Welcome.
Hello, good evening. All right, so I look forward to taking all of you through all of the work that we've accomplished these last couple of months of school. Before we get started, I'd just like to draw attention to the center table. So for those of you who don't know, today is World Kindness Day. And so as a part of that, our student council at Wilson would like to share a little vitamin C with you all because it's that time of the year. So go ahead and grab a little cutie orange with a positive quote on there. And then I've also included a few pictures actually from today. This is our first year actually having a student council. So it consists of 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders with being a smaller school. And so today was really their first big activity that they did for our school. So they went around and they actually put positive notes up on every student's coat hook and just spreading kindness around the building.
Nice.
All right, so quick overview. Basically, we'll be going over our 3 SSP goals: ELA, math, and our professional learning community goal. So moving into ELA, just a quick refresher, we are looking at an increase of 8% of our students being proficient according to the Spring iReady diagnostics. So last year we ended at 60% of our students proficient. We're looking for an 8% increase. We've been kind of stagnant around that 60-61% the last couple of years. Our subgroups that we're really focusing in on are 4th and 5th grade cohorts. So those cohorts as a whole definitely have some vulnerability and a little bit more fragile as far as learning goes. So they are our primary focus. Going into our action steps. So one of ours is to meet weekly as a collaborative team to go over that teaching and assessing cycle. We have been doing this weekly. During that time for ELA, we are reviewing our module data, so weekly quizzes. We're also looking at an accumulation of some comprehension data as well, and as that relates to our essential standards. So during that time, we're really focusing our conversation around where are our students as it relates to the essential standards that are being taught either in that current module or comprehension, because that is our greatest focus area of domain that we're focusing on. So we're really focusing in on those essential standards, looking at where students are at within that progression and how we are going to support them with that small group tier 2 instruction, whether that's filling some of those learning gaps or extending learning. Our goal around student goal setting, so students have been intimately involved in their goal setting around their learning The essential standards are really supporting this. So up here, you can just see a couple of examples of what some of the teachers are actually using in their classrooms with the students to really help them be involved and visualize their learning. So looking at like that top visual there, the red, so it's like the ladder, so that's one standard. Once they are proficient in that one standard, they essentially make it up to the green, but they have to hit all of those learning targets or skills starting down at the red and moving up. So it's been a really helpful visual for our students this year so they can really take that ownership of their learning and see where they are and where they need to go. We are also utilizing some of our experts within our school community. So Mr. Ewing, he will be coming up here shortly to share some of how he's been supporting Wilson School. Our LSTs have been very supportive around our ELA goals. So our building LST, Mrs. Hankus, as well as some of the other district LSTs who have been supporting some of that district-wide professional development around the science of reading. And then we have also utilized Kathy Wiedenhef's expertise as it relates to some of our students who could use some extension support. So for the students who already have it or maybe are above, like moving beyond that area of being proficient, Kathy did come and meet with us during our collaboration time to support teachers around what resources they could utilize to help extend their learning. So reading logs, this was something our guiding coalition came up with. This kind of was birthed out of just having a conversation around, we want to kind of just encourage that love for learning and especially for reading. So oftentimes, you hear of students getting homework or they have reading logs where they have to read like 60 minutes a week, and so it feels kind of like this you have to do. So, and not that some of them still maybe aren't getting some of that homework as well, but we have a reading log that we're just using across all grade levels, and we're really just encouraging students to either read or have someone read to them at home. We're not putting a requirement on the minutes, but we just are really encouraging them to get into a book, a magazine, comics, basically anything that's not an electronic, but just to try to get them excited about finding something that they enjoy to read. This has been quite successful. I announce it every morning, and the kids get really excited. If their reading log is filled out, they bring it down, and they're able to earn a little prize. So ongoing professional development around comprehension, those instructional practices. So we have been doing that. Again, we are engaging in that overall district-wide professional development that all the elementary teachers have been receiving during our in-service days, but then we've also been doing our own PD in-house during our monthly staff meetings. So we are utilizing the next step forward in guided reading, really specifically though, just looking at from that text, the top 12 comprehension strategies. And each time we meet, we're going through 3 of those strategies. Along with that was some supports that I was able to give the teachers to use some cards and that consistently across all grades in supporting some of those instructional strategies. So thus far we've talked about that monitoring, so self-monitoring as you're reading, as a reader, retelling some specific vocabulary strategies, the depths of knowledge, questioning with students, main idea and details, and analyzing characters. We'll continue to work through those as the year progresses. We are specifically progress monitoring those essential standards, and ELA specifically, we're looking at the comprehension essential standards at each grade level. So every teacher is focusing in, I should backtrack. We are progress monitoring and collecting data for all essential standards because that's what we need to be doing. But these are the ones that we're really focusing in on and having some additional conversation around because the overall comprehension, that domain was the lowest area for us in ELA. So we are specifically tracking where students are at. We're making a point to do that monthly. So we're looking at each child and saying, where are they at within that progression? Are they emerging? Are they developing? Or are they proficient? And if basically they're not proficient yet, where are they within that progression? And that's really going to tell us what our small group teaching needs to be and where they need to go. Moving on to our math goal. So for math, this is a little bit more of a lofty increase. So we are looking at going from 53% proficient to 68% proficient. Some of you may recall we had a great increase 2 years ago. We had like an 11% increase in the number of students that were proficient, according to iReady and the math, and then we saw a dip last year. So I don't know how much of that was perhaps maybe one of the cohorts that moved out and just how that kind of reflected that drastic change. But either way, we did not want to lower the bars, so we're keeping that at the 68%. And again, our subgroups, we're really focusing in on our 4th and 5th grade cohorts. Action steps, just like ELA, we're meeting weekly as collaborative teams. So again, at Wilson, we meet K1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're utilizing that teaching and assessing cycle to help us talk through student data, really look at who's got it and who doesn't. And if they don't have it, what do we need to do next? So again, we're using the progression of those essential standards to support those problem-solving conversations. So as a part of that, what we did was the teachers also picked a specific math standard that they're focusing in on based on which one shows up most in their grade level. So how it really shook out was based on what grade level they teach. It's either numbers-based 10 or operations and algebraic thinking. It's whatever one is reflected most. So really that their grade level team determined these are all the essential standards, which one's showing up the most in your grade level. And that's the one that they are really focused in on. And that supports our data as well. Again, that student goal setting, so we're utilizing that for math as well. Here's actually an example of a student. So as you can see, the student actually has a lot of those skills, even going up into being proficient, but has a couple of in those emerging area that they're still working on. But again, just having them really intimately involved in their goal setting process. Again, utilizing some of our experts in district. So we, again, are working with Mr. Ewing, and he'll be sharing how he's been supporting. Mrs. Lekowitz actually has even come over to support. She trained one of our teachers in how to use the Kickstart math intervention. So we were really grateful for her support and that she was able to give us some time. And again, utilizing Kathy's expertise to help support our students who could benefit from some extension. Also, because our math proficiency is obviously our most urgent area, that is our teachers are having their SLOs tied directly to their math standards. So every teacher has their SLO directly tied to the standard that they are focusing in on, even for K. And then we are looking at we're tracking that, and then we want 75% or more of our students to be proficient in that specific standard by the end of the school year. We've continued ongoing PD as a staff. So again, this has been occurring monthly during our staff meetings around building thinking classrooms. We have completed chapter 3. We're on to chapter 4. We have really found this to be very helpful. We've gathered some really nice strategies from this, specifically looking at how we can randomize student groups of 3, having those thinking tasks to start out the math lesson, really providing that opportunity for a healthy struggle, not necessarily leading them to the answer and really letting them be critical thinkers. And then also talking a lot about how everybody looks at problems differently and we solve them differently using those vertical whiteboard spaces. The students also share the marker and really engage in that problem solving together. Again, we're progress monitoring, like I had mentioned earlier, either those operations and algebraic thinking or numbers-based 10. We are formally doing that monthly. This looks a little bit different. Comprehension, we are constantly getting data around comprehension. In math, it's a little bit different because it's not as cyclical, it doesn't spiral as much. So our teachers have created some of their own self-assessments as well as it relates to the specific standard that they're focusing in on to ensure that they're continuing to monitor student progress. So I have mentioned some support from Mr. Ewing for the last couple of goals. He is with us here tonight, so I'd like to invite him up. He's just going to briefly share with all of you how he has been supporting us at Wilson School.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Ewing, or Ryan Ewing. I call myself Mr. Ewing too much. I am the curriculum and instructional coach, district-wide for elementary. In previous years, I supported Jefferson and Washington mostly during my time. So it's been really nice to get into Wilson a little bit more. I was there a little bit just because my wife had worked there previously, so now I actually get to be in there like working with the teachers, so it's nice. So in my time there this quarter specifically, and I'll even talk about first quarter, I'm really just trying to be as accessible as humanly possible. I've built in some time to not only support in the mornings, but also times to be available to any grade level if they want to collaborate or work on things together, which has been really, really nice. The great thing about Wilson, too, not having a coach in the past, is they're really open to collaboration. They're hungry for that. And so a lot of our conversations, especially during collaborative times or even outside of those, has been really productive and really fun to be part of, which has been great. In addition to working with classroom teachers on various different things that they're focusing on, I'm also working with 2 math intervention groups. I'll be doing that second quarter as well as fourth quarter. And then one of the greatest things, I think, again, talking about that collaborative team time, one of the biggest powerful things I've seen from this year is the fact that me being able to go to all buildings for collaborative team times and then go to somewhere like Wilson, where it's a singleton school, and be able to tell them what other people are saying, thinking, hearing, observing, has been really, really fun. And the conversations from that alone have been really quite powerful and positive. So I'm excited to continue working with them. One of the reasons that I have the schedule I have is I took a survey and just took feedback from educators in the district so I could support them in any given building. And so that's how specifically Wilson's came about. And again, just excited to kind of work with them collaboratively in second quarter and beyond.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, so moving on to our third goal, how we are operating as a professional learning community. So basically we were looking at our PLC survey that our staff take at the end of the school year. And what we are shooting for is that all certified staff will rate a 4 or a 5 on the PLC survey as it relates to our team effectiveness with answering the 4 questions of a PLC. So again, teachers take this at the end of the school year. It's really an opportunity for them to share their thoughts on where we are at, moving towards being a professional learning community. And a lot of that has to do with that collaborative cycle as well, and how we're working collaboratively together to answer those questions, especially as it relates to if our students don't have it yet, how are we going to help them get there? How are we going to extend learning? And how are we going to assess that? So they take a survey as it relates to that. They do use a rubric to help them norm and kind of guide their thinking and their rating for that survey as well. So we continue to have some site-based PD, again, that's during our staff meetings around what it really means to be a professional learning community. That really encompasses a lot. And again, I'll just stress that sometimes the PLC and collaboration are used interchangeably. We are a professional learning community. The collaboration is when we meet together and really talk about that student data. But as a professional learning community, it encompasses a lot of things, and that's even our guiding coalition, so our leadership team, our SEL leadership team, so the team that focuses around those social emotional learning. It encompasses our intervention teams that monitor our academic and our SEL data. So we're really looking at a lot of things as it relates to being a professional learning community. Some feedback that we received just a couple of weeks ago as we were talking about this with staff and specifically with our guiding coalition is that one way that we feel like we can do better, especially specifically with our collaboration time, is we have the classroom teachers there. I'm a part of that collaborative time, but how can we get some other people to the table? And that can be challenging with schedules, but we did get creative. We do share our LST with Prairie View, but I called up Brandon. It was like, how can we make this work? So I am happy to report that now we do have our literacy support teacher is able to join all of our collaboration time on Tuesday. We've been tweaking the schedule a little bit to figure out how we can have our special education teacher there as much as possible. And then we also set up a rotation of every other week where some of our PBS are attending some of our specific teams as it relates to classes that are maybe struggling a little bit more with some of that social emotional learning. So we have our school social worker and our school psychologists attending those meetings now every other week as well. And again, as a part of that, we continue to utilize that teaching and assessing cycle to support our work. And teachers will be taking a survey quarterly for us to help track how we are doing with that. So a few other things that I'd like to share with you that maybe aren't directly tied to our 3 goals, but are very important as far as our school culture goes is we are doing monthly all-school read-alouds. So these are really focused in on a specific maybe social skill or character. So for the month of September, our first month of school, we read The Magical Yet. So in that book, there's a little character that's called the Yet. He's that little pink guy on top of that little girl's helmet. But it's all about how powerful the word yet is. So there are things that we can't do yet, and that it's easy to get really discouraged and say like, well, I can't multiply 2-digit numbers. But how can we rephrase that? And so we actually did some actually modeling and practicing that with our students and how we can rephrase our thinking. We read the book One. This really focused on how we can be the one, we can be the leader, we can be the one to stand up for what's right, stand up for bullying, stand up when maybe nobody else is. So how can you be the one? Actually this week, Wednesday, we'll be reading My Magical Choices. So we've been talking a lot about choices and how you have multiple choices that you get to make every single day, and those choices lead to consequences. And consequences can be negative or positive, depending on the choice that you choose. So that's what the story we're going to read this week will really focus on. And then the teachers all rotated reading I Choose Kindness to their class as well. Got a few pictures to share with you. We had the opportunity this last week, I think it was Friday, to go see the preview of All Shook Up. Our 2nd and 3rd graders. There was a lot of wiggling and dancing, and it was pretty awesome. So they loved that. We did a flag ceremony on Friday as well in honor of Veterans Day. So our 5th graders came out and they put the flag up for us and led us through the Pledge of Allegiance. Here are VIPs from the last 2 months. So our September and our October VIPs. They earn a little swag this year with their Wilson VIP bracelet and their certificate. So a lot of excitement around our monthly assemblies. We've got some students hard at work. That center picture, our 5th graders met their iReady goals for their number of lessons that they passed. So they got a donut party. Mrs. Stearns always has a fun little picture they fill in with their goals, and then you get to earn a little treat. And then I'll just leave you with the other thing that we've been talking a lot about this school year is just how you can be a leader. And being a leader encompasses a lot, and it's not always easy. We talk a lot about how you have to be brave to be a leader. It can be easier to not be a leader and just stand back. So for our daily announcements, I always end the announcement with be brave enough to be a leader and make it a great day to be you. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
I've got a question about your read-alouds with the books. Is that happening in the classroom or?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. No, so we, that would be hard for all the students to be able to see it, so I tune in virtually over a Google Meet. So I just put the Google Meet up in my office, and then all the teachers put it up on their big smart board, and so they're able to all watch me tune in for the story.
Yeah, right on. I mean, they all seem to be very positive books, and those positive mindsets I think are very, very important.
Yeah, it's been, I wasn't sure how they would take it. Sometimes it's hard, like, are the kids gonna think it's corny or, but I really do think they've enjoyed it. I've had a lot of kids asking me about it, and even some of our upper level kiddos when they come into my office, because I usually have them kind of displayed around, or maybe the one that's upcoming, and they're starting to ask me about it, like, oh, is that the book we're gonna read this month?
Yeah, right on.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
Nice. I really like the creative way that you're working with collaboration, and hearing Mr. Ewing speak about that, bringing ideas from some of the other schools to your school too, so I think that's a really good solution to something I know that you've been working on finding one for.
Yes, it really has been helpful, and I think that was kind of a not anticipated benefit of, not something we specifically thought about when having Mr. Ewing come and support us, but yeah, our teachers have done a really nice job of supporting each other through those instructional strategies, even though they're not maybe teaching the exact same thing. But I know they have voiced, it's been very helpful for him to just be kind of our middleman too.
As far as the reading logs are concerned that we're sending home, how's the participation in that?
Yeah, it kind of varies. I would say, that's a good question. I haven't exactly been keeping track, but I would say that I have, for sure, every other day, at least a couple of kids who are bringing one down.
Okay, cool. I like that idea a lot. I mean, I think it's important to, go home and read a little bit. And especially, if you're not forcing them to do it and just kind of prod them along, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. And again, being encouraged to be read too, because there are a lot of benefits in that as well.
Sure.
The little notes on each of the kids' lockers this morning was very nice.
Yeah.
Did you get one, Gary?
Yours is
Oh,
in the
yeah,
basket.
yeah, you get yours in the basket. Right. I look forward to grabbing mine too. So, I mean, the only other thing is, it sounds like with your math that you guys have a plan in place, to raise the bar on that. So, I look forward to seeing how that progresses.
Thank you.
I just wanted clarification on how is it determined at the beginning of the school year what grade, how the kids are? Are they 2 grade level, or, 2 levels below where we want them to, should be, and that they're urging? Or,
Yes.
I mean, a lot can happen over a summer and that kind
Right.
of stuff.
Right, so we do look at some of the spring data, but you're right, Marge, a lot can happen over the summer too, and we still want fresh eyes on how they are coming into us in the fall. So we do that fall iReady diagnostic.
Okay.
So we look at that provides a score for us. Obviously, that's just one snapshot, so if something really seems off compared to maybe where they had ended last spring, we can do some additional assessments and digging, whether that's through running records, some other formative assessments that the teachers have. Yeah.
Sounds like you really worked on a nice, collaborative process on dealing with things. That's great.
Thank you.
I love how the goals are so visual. When we were there, we saw them. It's got to be very easy for the students and the parents
Yes.
to be reviewing exactly where they're at.
Yeah, and some of our teachers are utilizing that even with their, they have data binders for their kiddos, and then they actually can share that with the parents, either at parent-teacher conferences or when they just maybe call to have a meeting if there is some concerns or celebrations. But it's been interesting to hear how the students have responded to that as well. I know a teacher had shared with me that one of her students said, Mrs. Sackett, aren't we doing the iReady goals anymore? Like, what number do I have to get to? Is it 450 or? She's like, well, we're still doing that, but this is the meat of our work. Like, these are the specific things you need to work on to get there.
Anyone else? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
8.2, 2024-25 school year start date waiver resolution.
I
Yeah.
move the Beaver Dam Unified School Districts requests the ability to begin the 2024-2025 school year on the 27th day of August 2024 due to major construction projects occurring within the district.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second then for the start date waiver resolution. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign.
And
All
then
right.
Just, yep, thank you very much. And just for a point of clarity for the public or anybody that is watching, we do know that we will have construction in the summer of '25 specific to work on Washington Elementary and appropriately receiving and transitioning the Wilson school family to Washington Elementary. So that is one project that we are committed to and prepared to execute on.
All right, so let's move to 8.3, the 24-25 school year calendar.
All right, so the board had the opportunity to hear about prospective school calendar in both committee conversations as well as a hearing earlier today. As Marge indicated in her motion, that would put the start date on the 27th of August. For folks' reference, that would also put the last day of school, May 30th of 2025, according to that calendar. Within that, there are also in-service days and very much a typical school calendar that our families and communities would be used to, as we have in the past. So we have designated breaks identified for the holidays, as well as also a traditional spring break opportunity for families. So other than the start date adjustment, that we're looking at a very traditional calendar.
Any questions on the calendar?
I move the approval of the presented 24-25 early start waiver school calendar.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second then to approve the 24-25 school year calendar. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign.
For reference, Mary will be, I believe, making that calendar accessible to families and the public later this week.
All right, and 8.4, we have donation.
All right, good evening. The donation for tonight is from Rich Brouillard, who was a former administrator of the Beaver Dam Unified School District, who served in the roles of IT director and principal at the middle school from 2000 to 2009. Sadly, Rich passed away in January due to complications from injuries sustained in a snowmobile accident. Mr. Brouillard generously left a gift of $34,510.60 to the Beaver Dam Unified School District via the Brouillard Revocable Trust. He had requested that his gift be used for dental and eye care assistance for students eligible for free or reduced lunch. It should also be noted that while the trust does allow for Tanya E. Broyles Brouillard to use the trust assets during her lifetime, she has decided that she would prefer to make this distribution called upon for her death now. In accordance with Board Policy 7230, gifts, grants, and bequests, gifts or donations of this size must receive board approval. I am requesting that you approve the receipt of this donation, and in doing so, authorize the administration to use these funds to support student dental and vision needs at the middle school, provided they qualify for free or reduced lunch. Upon approval, a Fund 21 account will be established with these funds housed in the general checking account to be used solely for expenses related to the wishes of the Brouillards and the donation's intent. Mr. Loss will work with student services at the middle school, along with myself, in providing financial assistance to students who qualify.
Well, what a generous gift. I know, I remember him well, and he always had a passion for making sure that all students had equal access to anything he could provide. So what a beautiful gift, and I'll make a motion that we accept the gift as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the donation as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right, thank the Brouillard family very much, appreciate it. 9.1, we have our student rep report. Graciela, what's going on in the student body?
Beaver Dam High School's DECA organization is planning on having a pretty busy month. The month of November is DECA month, so the organization is planning on volunteering at Hillside Manor for an hour after school to participate in card and board games with the residents towards the end of the month. They have also been organizing a penny war competition in which the proceeds will be donated to the local food pantry, and participants also have the opportunity this month to submit a photo of themselves in a leaf pile with the DECA diamond in order to win a photo contest through the organization. Another organization that's been pretty active in competitions within the past couple months is the FFA. Members of the organization attended the national convention. At the convention, the soil evaluation team placed 13th in the state, and 9 more members will be attending the national FFA conference this week in Green Bay. Members have been very active in the elementary schools. Actually, I think last week, Lincoln Elementary students learned about calves from a visit by high school students who brought the calves over across the street to the elementary schools so that they could give a lesson about them. And the FFA is also in the process of reinstating glove trees in the elementary schools as the weather begins to become a little bit colder, where it provides donations of like winter gear such as hats, gloves, and scarves. Throughout the month of November, members of the Key Club are collecting food for the food pantries and running raffles for students who bring in food for the drive. Members will be collecting all the food donations from all the schools, including elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school, on Friday, November 17th. And the organization has also started a letter campaign to give active service members and first responders a note of gratitude throughout the holidays, where students can write a letter to an active service member or a first responder, and they'll receive that letter with, a good message inside. Student council members have been working to create new projects and opportunities to help throughout the community. Members have been planning on making tie blankets to donate to different organizations and nursing homes during the cold months. And the organization is also using their funding to donate items to the Key Club raffles for the food drive, as well as the student council is donating a espresso machine to the Beaver Dam High School Cafe so that the students can use it during the hours that the cafe is open.
Any questions for Graciela?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. Since we've started having a student rep from the high school, this has been great because it's a good way for all of us and the general public to know what's going on there at the high school. We don't know all these little things that all these clubs are doing, and it's great to see the activity and the service that's being done. So thank you for reporting everything.
I think it's also nice to see the multiple organizations, specifically within the high school, working together for a common goal. So there's several projects that are currently being worked on that are being worked on by multiple organizations, so that's always appreciated as well. Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you very much, Graciela. That'll move us to 9.2, board election, April 2024.
Okay, I'm just announcing that there will be 3 seats up for election on April 2nd of 2024. The incumbents are John, Gary, and myself. And if any of the incumbents do not intend to run for re-election, they need to file non-candidacy papers by 5:00 p.m. on December 22nd of 2023. And incumbents and any members of the public who are seeking election need to file candidacy papers by 5:00 p.m. on January 2nd, 2024.
All right, thank you, Marge. 9.3 and 9.4, operations and teaching and learning did not meet. The next committee meetings are scheduled for January 22nd, and a reminder for the board that we do have a workshop next Monday, November 20th at 6:00 p.m. 9.5, board engagement, opportunity for board members to share out any engagement opportunities they had during the course or the time period between our last board meeting. So I'll open up to the board.
I'll go first. I attended the School of the Month coffee chat at Wilson. We got to enjoy some apple cinnamon muffins from the kids in the kitchen. They were delicious, so thank you to those that had a hand in that. But yeah, just a great little visit over at Wilson. Thanks for having us. A very supportive culture over there, great teamwork, and I know that there's a lot going on. So that was my engagement, and I appreciate you having us.
Others?
I'll just echo Isaac's comments about Wilson. It was a great visit. Thanks for the work that you do to prepare for those and just to the time you take so that you can get us around to the classrooms. And it was, I just think it's really informative for us to see the teachers in action. And so we just appreciate that. And kudos also for the culture at Wilson. You can feel it when you're in the building. It's a good spot. So thank you.
I was also at Wilson. I attended the Meg Sickle Memorial Basketball game, which was fun, and the high school musical, which was outstanding.
I did sit in on the district safety team meeting that we had recently, just a summary of some of the discussion topics. We talked about fire drills. Obviously, at this time of the year, I was talking about winter safety, Wisconsin Biomedical Services involvement in our AED inspections and certifications. Just overall discussion on our multiple district teams involving safety, threat assessment, mascot, and medical emergencies. And then also just a short discussion talking about the school violence drills that will be coming to our attention here in the December board meeting. Any other board members, engagement opportunities? All right, we'll move on to recognitions. Anybody like to share out any recognitions? I will start out. Obviously, you can see the nice pile of food in back of me, and I would like to just echo an appreciation to our staff and our students who this week are going to be working very hard on gathering as much food as they possibly can to support the community. So I'd like to just appreciate them. Others? Recognitions, appreciations? Mark?
All right, I've got a few. Just want to echo again what Gary said regarding the second scrimmage and all the work that goes into that, and those that took time out of their week to attend and support that. I'd like to also just reiterate, Graciela reported out on the different groups and the amount of outreach and service our students do to give back to the community. I think this time of year really highlights that a little bit, but I also know that it's going on all the time, and it's something that I think our citizens, whether they have a student that's directly involved in the school system right now, it's something that you should be proud of as a member of our community, that our students are learning and exuding that service and giving back and being a positive contributor as citizens in our community. I also wanted to thank the middle school staff, the Washington and Wilson staff, for their engagement with our architects during some facility conversations that took place a couple weeks ago. They took time out of their regularly scheduled faculty meeting times, and heard about some updates, were able to ask some questions, and be part of the process. And those sentiments that were shared kind of created some themes of discussion that I know will be part of the board workshop that takes place this coming Monday. So their time and reflection was very, very much appreciated.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll move on to district policy and guidelines with 10.1, resignation retirements.
There is one resignation on the board agenda for your consideration tonight, as well as Kelly Breaker's retirement request. Kelly has been in our district for 32 years by the time she retires.
I move the board approve the retirement and resignation as presented.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second then to approve the resignations, retirements as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right.
There are not any leaves of absence for your consideration tonight, but we do have one appointment. Julie Laborde, a long-term sub position at Washington, starting on November 21st and with an end date to be determined.
I move the board approve the appointment as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the appointment as presented. Ask for a roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. All right, 10.4, board policy revisions.
Yeah, at this time, I'll be requesting that the board adopt the latest policy updates that were presented last month in October. Specifically, I'm asking that the board approve 6 new policies. Policy 0614, Policy 5505, Policy 7250.01, Policy 7440.02, Policy 8700, and Policy 8913. The topics of those policies were meetings, academic honesty, memorials for staff and students, smart monitoring equipment, nursing mothers, and Policy 8913 was Section 504, ADA prohibition against disability discrimination in employment. The policy updates include 29 other revisions, 10 rescinded policies, primarily for the reasons of redundancies, 2 replacements, and 1 renumbering.
Any questions regarding the policy revisions? If not, I'd ask for a motion.
I'll move to approve the policy revisions as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second then to approve the board policy revisions and adopt them as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right, down to payment of claims.
I move for payment and claims in the amount of $2,130,744.37.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to approve the payment of claims. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 All right, very efficient tonight. I ask for a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All right, motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right, thank you.